There's a large number of ancient monuments scattered all over the planet, showing that there was a very advanced knowledge in ancient times. In addition, there are countless finds that do not match what we have been told about our past. It seems as if a black hand has mysteriously erased the true history of mankind from ancient times to the present. But for what reason? Why don't they want us to know what happened in the past? Let's remember that just over 2 years ago, in September 2018, there was an event that caused great excitement: the huge fire at the National Museum of Brazil in Rio de Janeiro, one of the largest in South America. The flames surrounded almost the entire building, which housed more than 20 million exhibits from different periods of history, not only of Brazil, but of the whole world. Not only was there great economic damage, but the information that could have led to new studies and research is no longer available. The museum was founded in 1818 by King João VI. Its library contained 537,000 works, some of them rare, housed an important collection of Egyptian mummies and the skull of Lucia, the oldest fossil found in the country so far. The fire extinguished part of the history of our past, and the exhibits were not only of great importance for Brazil, but a world cultural heritage, so to speak. However, this is not new. It is not the first time that a part of our history has been erased. If we go back to the 4th century, we find a similar event that shocked the ancient world, namely the burning of the Library of Alexandria. The city of Alexandria was founded 332 BC by Alexander the Great. It was located near the Nile Delta, 220 kilometers northwest of Cairo, the capital of Egypt. The library contained all the existing knowledge about the ancient world, as it held a collection of writings by travelers, sages, scientists and astronomers of the time. During the 4th century AD, the ancient Christians of Thebes and the proselytes in Colombia hated the library because, in their opinion, it contained pagan sciences, and this was contrary to their faith. The bishop of Alexandria, Theophilus, obtained an imperial decree to destroy and loot the Serapeum, the complex where the precious library was located. Sometime later, in 642, the Arabs were blamed for the destruction of the library, but this could not have been because, according to the research of Paul of Gervanois, the Emperor Theodosius I had closed the pagan temples in 391, some 250 years earlier. In the same year, the violent destruction and fire of the Serapeum took place, the flames devastating the last and fabulous Library of Antiquity. So it is reported in the Alexandrian World Chronicle, a 5th century manuscript. In other words, it was the Christians, not the Arabs, who destroyed 80% of science, as well as very important legacies from Asian and African cultures, leading to a stagnation of scientific progress for more than 400 years. It was the same fanatics who, 25 years later, murdered the beautiful and clever mathematician, philosopher and astronomer Hypatia of Alexandria. Her story was filmed in 2009 with the title Agora, the Pillar of Heaven. There are many rumors suggesting that she was burned with the intention of hiding the looting of the books and manuscripts by Christian groups, and that they still exist, hidden in the inaccessible Vatican Library. However, the last library in the ancient world was the Imperial Library of Constantinople, founded in the 4th century by Emperor Constantinus II, which is now in Istanbul, Turkey. It is said to have contained more than 100,000 volumes of ancient texts, many of them from the looted Library of Alexandria. The library preserved the knowledge of the ancient Greeks and Romans for about 1,000 years until several fires destroyed much of the collection. In 473, 120,000 writings were burned. Finally, its total destruction occurred with the conquest of Constantinople in the 15th century. Knowledge was not only destroyed and hidden in the West, but also in the East. In ancient China, there was also a significant erasure of history. It happened during the Qin dynasty between 221 and 207 BC that 100 schools of thought were persecuted and their books burned. 460 scholars were buried alive, and sometime later 700 more were executed, all this to control the thinking of the people by the government of the time. Another sad moment in our past, in which there was also a significant loss of our historical memory, occurred during the Inquisition. The Holy Inquisition, sponsored by the Catholic Church, aimed to suppress heresy, and under this pretext the greatest burning and destruction of books was carried out over many centuries. The first Inquisition was founded in 1184 in Languedoc in southern France with the intention of fighting the Cathars. In 1249 it expanded to the Kingdom of Aragon when it united with Castile, giving rise to the so-called Spanish Inquisition, which lasted from the 15th to the 19th centuries. With the invention of printing by Gutenberg in 1450, the powerful of the time began to fear it because they knew that printed words would reach more people and that they could spread thoughts or ideas that were harmful to the powerful. In an attempt to control this, the Council of Trent in 1564 approved the list of forbidden books, in which the printing of books without the permission of the bishop was forbidden. The Inquisition was run by Dominican monks but controlled by the monarchy. But the barbarities of the Holy Inquisition did not only take place in Europe, they unfortunately also reached South America. In the 16th century, a huge fire on the Yucatan Peninsula turned the Mayan past into ashes. The Bishop of Yucatan, Fray Diego de Landa Calderón, burned 40 codices that explain the entire life and history of the Maya. It is said that years later he regretted it, but it was too late. The loss of history and knowledge was enormous, not only for South America, but for all humanity. Currently, there are only 4 Mayan manuscripts left. The Codex des Dances, which is in Germany, the Codex tro-cortesianus, which is in the American Museum in Madrid, the Codex Periciaeus in France, and finally the Codex Grolier in Mexico. There were also book burnings in the 20th century. In Germany in 1933, supporters of the ruling power destroyed more than 20,000 books, which were burned because they went against the ideologies of the government. However, the biggest erasure of our history happened in Ecuador in 1962, when the museum set up by Father Crespi with all the objects that the indigenous Shuar people had given him during his life was looted and then burned. It is estimated that there were 8,000 artifacts total. Most of them were made of pure gold, and countless plates, also made of gold, with strange inscriptions that Father Crespi believed were real history books. The objects were over 5,000 years old, and many resembled those of Babylonian, Sumerian, and Egyptian cultures. Studying and researching them would have destroyed the official history of the whole world. It was a rather strange fire, starting right on the first floor where the museum was located. According to Jaime Rodriguez and Sobaraldi, the experts who investigated the case, the museum had been looted beforehand and then set to fire to cover possible traces. To this list of burned libraries should be added the 36 libraries of Baghdad, the destruction of the collections of the Temple of the Sun in Cusco, and the Aztec codices. In 1986, the Los Angeles Library was set on fire, the flames destroying 1 million books. In 1992, the Sarajevo Library was burned with 2 million volumes. In 2003, during the invasion of Iraq, the burning of 1 million books from the National Library was ordered. In 2016, a fire destroyed the 6 floors of the National Museum of Natural History in New Delhi, India. The list of libraries that have fallen victim to flames, whether through arson or alleged accidental fires, is endless. All investigations indicate that most of them were looted before the fires, and it's almost certain that they are in the collections of millionaires and of course in the huge Vatican Library, where thousands of banned books are kept. Why don't they make them public? What is it that they don't want us to know that they guard so jealously? There is no doubt that history over the centuries has been mutilated and manipulated by the rulers who have meticulously changed our beliefs and thoughts according to their convenience. And of course, they have done everything possible to keep us from knowing our true origin. Could it be that we are descendants of the Atlanteans? And if so, who destroyed them and erased their traces? Perhaps the same people who have ruled the world and enslaved humanity for centuries?